New Jack City was released in 1991. It's directed by Mario Van Peebles and it stars Wesley Snipes and Ice-T. Yes, Ice-T, always a sign of quality, must be said. Read between the lines. Okay, New Jack City, I remember seeing this film back in probably mid-90s, I would say. I was probably about 15. I thought it was pretty damn good. I think I came in like 10 minutes after it started and it was just on. I was like, what's this? And I kind of became glued to it. I was like, this is pretty awesome. That was a long time ago, it was the 90s. And this film has not dated well, it's got to be said. Yeah, watched it again a couple of nights ago and... Okay, so it's got a good story. It feels very samey to a lot of other kind of things. Like somebody goes undercover to infiltrate a gang. Sounds a lot like Donnie Brasco in that respect. But it's very different from Donnie Brasco because of the flavour that it has. This is a black crime gangster film. It's looking at the poorer side of New York, in which a group of black kind of drug gang types decide, you know what, we're not going to take this anymore, we're not just going to live in poverty, we're going to take the streets back, but we're going to take them like our way. They make all the wrong choices, basically. They don't decide to take the streets back and educate and do good for people. It becomes, no, greed is good, let's do it that way. Let's get people hooked on drugs. Boom. There you go. You've got your gangsters. Ice-T comes along as this cop, this rugged, tough, throw out the rule book kind of cop who gets partnered up with another cop who's a throw the rule book out kind of guy. And it's just like, okay, cool, whatever. Let's see these guys do some damage. Do we though? Not really. They end up roping in some other guy played by Chris Rock who's like a former addict, and they use him to infiltrate this gang. And yeah, so there's some good stuff there. There's a good story kind of bubbling away under the surface, like a black Scarface kind of deal, from the hood kind of deal, but it's kind of squandered. The pacing of this film is just way off. It's too fast. That's the thing. There's no time for anything to breathe. And the moment like a bit of character growth is kind of brought in, i.e. one character tells another character a bit of their backstory, it's just popped in there and it feels awkward. It feels like, okay, right, we're going a bit heartfelt all of a sudden. Chris Rock is in this and he plays the ex-addict who is sent into the fray, so to speak, and his character is super annoying. He's way too loud, way too animated, way too Chris Rock, quite frankly. There's a few moments in here where he does kind of get to shine, where he's able to pull something off, but again, just the way he speaks, like putting man at the end of every sentence, like he'll say 3 sentences, like one after another, man, and man, and he's just like saying man, and after a while, it does start to grate on the nerves. There's some good performances, particularly the 2 central gangster characters, Wesley Snipes, and I can't remember the name of the actor that plays he's kind of like his brother in arms, so to speak, rises up with him, and then obviously things go wrong during the film. But they're both quite good. I like the central dynamic between them, the fact that this brotherhood is being torn apart by greed and by desire and all that kind of stuff. It's more the hero side of thing, the cop side of thing, there's not enough there. Like, it's not explored in a satisfying way. It's just, look at these guys, they're tough, and like at one point in the film we get a little bit of like, oh, but there's a reason they're like this, and it's just, but like I say, the pacing way too fast. It feels like it's always in a rush to get where it's going, and not just have moments to breathe. It's I think it's like an hour and a half. It's like a 90 minute or 98 minutes, something like that. So you can see from that running time, it's like, okay, you could have not stretched it out, because that term implies that something is just, you know, going beyond its means. But just allow it to relax, just chill. I think that's in the directing, maybe from Peebles, but it definitely feels 90s. It definitely feels early 90s. It definitely feels low budget. Not necessarily that that's a bad thing. There's plenty of low budget movies out there that score points. You know, you look at Reservoir Dogs, but this is on a much bigger canvas than something like Reservoir Dogs. You know, it's clearly got some studio backing, but it's just, as I say, let's throw everything in there, but not have too much connective tissue, or whatever connective tissue is there, we'll just gloss over it so fast that everything just feels disjointed. So, you know, it's fun. I understand what's going on. It's got some things to say about culture and about why there is such crime kind of statistics amongst black people in New York City. You look at where they're living, this, that, and the other. But then there's another argument to throw in there. There's another side of that argument where we should see a community, and we see that a little bit. But again, it reduces a black man down to having to pull a gun at one point, and that leaves a bit of a sour taste in the mouth, because you've got this one guy who stands up to the gangsters, who essentially says, we don't want you in our community. You are not our community. You don't represent us. And there's one part where he ends up pulling a gun, and you're just like, oh man, that kind of leaves a bit of a bad taste in the mouth, because he showed us a different side of things. So the fact that they reduce him down to that, I'd have liked to have seen that moral side. I'd have liked to have seen more of that side of the people that they want to do the right thing. They want to get a job. They want to feed their kids. They just want to be a moral, upstanding citizen. So at the end of the day, what you have is a film that shows us that the black people of that area are either gangsters, gun-toting gangsters, or ultimately people who do have a certain sense of morality, but will eventually turn to weapons, turn to violence. So, you know, that's just my thoughts there. I think it's a missed opportunity. The film was exploring something that was worth exploring, and maybe didn't quite do it in the best way possible. It's fun, like I say, because of that pacing, because it is fast moving. It's quite funny at times, maybe unintentionally so. I do think Wesley Snipes gives a really great performance in it, in spite of everything not quite matching that performance that he's giving. But yeah, it's nothing more than that. That's the thing. It does have a reputation as being something of a standout, you know, certainly a cultural kind of landmark in terms of black cinema. But I think that's the fact that it's turned out the way it is only indicative of the fact that black cinema wasn't really being funded in the way that other cinema was. So you've kind of you gotta grab what you can when you get it, and unfortunately, this just doesn't measure up to a lot of other films, as I say, such as Donnie Brasco and whatnot, that deal with like undercover work and things like that. But hey, that's fine, whatever. It's still a good film, but it's far from being a great film. But that's just me. That's my thoughts on New Jack City. If you've seen New Jack City, I would like to know what your thoughts are. Please do leave them down in the comment section below. Thank you for watching this review, and until next time, cracking.